Welcome to Toastmaster Time, the show that's got everybody talking. My name is James Jeffley, and I'm excited to be your host for this edition of Toastmaster Time. Normally on Toastmaster Time, we mimic what goes on at a regular Toastmasters Club meeting. We have prepared speeches, followed by evaluations. Tonight's show is a little different, and to tell us more about what makes this show special is our chief judge, Ashley Harkness. Ashley, welcome to the show.
Well, James, it's good to be working with you again, and yes, this is a very special show. Our speakers tonight are all contest contestants who have won at some particular level within the district. They had to work their way out of their home club into an area contest, a division contest, and finally at our conference that was held just recently up in Alameda. The key here is that we're looking at the best of the best in District 57. They are at the top of their game. All of the judges had to look at certain criteria and make a decision that I know was very difficult. But tonight, we get to see the product of that. So James, it's going to be an exciting show.
I'm sure it is, and I'm looking forward to hearing these three champion speakers. And we'll hear more from you later on in the show. Right now, I'd like to introduce our first contestant to Toastmaster Time. Please welcome Brendan Murphy. Brendan, welcome to Toastmaster Time.
Thank you, James.
So tell me, what club are you representing?
Tales and Tellers Toastmasters, the storytelling club.
And where are they located?
In Concord at the famed Concord Denny's conference room.
I've heard that story. And how long have you been a member of Toastmasters?
20 years.
20 years?
Yes.
And you've done contests before, yes?
Yes, indeed, and I've lost most of them.
But you've probably learned a lot from them, too.
Absolutely. I tell everybody to go into the competitions because you work on the same skills again and again at different levels. And every time, win, lose, or draw, you're always learning a lot.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing what you have learned in all of your experience. Are you ready to give your speech?
Indeed, I am.
I'll give you a moment to prepare, and I'll tell our audience more about Toastmasters. In a regular Toastmasters club meeting, our members work through a variety of manuals that focus on different aspects of public speaking: your voice, your body language, speech organization, and construction. Contest speeches are a little different. The judges are looking for specific aspects of content, speech development, effectiveness, speech value, delivery, physicality, your voice, and your mannerisms, putting all of these things together into a very inspiring and motivating 5 to 7 minute speech. Our first speaker is Brendan Murphy. The line, Brendan Murphy.
Mommy, Duffy's picking on me. That, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guest, was my only line of defense against my very first roommate, George Edward Murphy III, my brother, whom we just called Duffy. Now, to be fair to the guy, I suspect that he didn't want a roommate after having the place to himself for 5 years, until the baby of the family came along. In fact, he dared to consider me a nuisance and would frequently express his displeasure. Those expressions left bruises. My only option in such situation was to call for maternal intervention. Until, at the age of 7, I realized the power of hope. Growing up with Duffy was never dull. He had a vivid imagination, and when he condescended to play with me, we would go on amazing adventures, tackling elephants, swimming with submarines, camping on Mars. He also had excellent musical taste. I still remember when he played the greatest song ever, The Elephant Hop, which requests the listener to jump up and down, jump up and down, jump up and down, and stop. Jump up and down, and that's the elephant hop. But the neatest thing about Duffy was that he had the greatest stuff. He kept it all on his sacrosanct altar, a piece of plywood attached to the wall with some large hinges. That was Duffy's space, and I was not allowed to go anywhere near it. It was a line I never crossed, I swear. One evening after school, I was innocently looking at the cornucopia of curiosities it contained. A pack of firecrackers, a used shotgun shell, a 1935 silver dollar, a magician's wand, the dried carcass of a frog. Suddenly, Duffy slammed into the room. "Did you touch my stuff?" "No, I didn't touch nothing, I swear." Duffy doubted. He took 2 quick strides and grabbed me before I could dive underneath the bed. He viciously twisted my arm behind my back, expressing his distrust. Unfortunately, in the midst of this, a random 1935 silver dollar appeared to fall out of my pocket. You did, you little liar. I told you to never set your grubby mitts on my stuff. I'm gonna kill you." A capital offense, as my hero Scooby-Doo would say, "Ruh-roh." But some predators like to play with their prey. Devil Duffy was one. "Come on, use your line and call for mommy. Come on, you little baby, start crying." I was on the edge of tears and felt completely defeated until I recalled a signature line that Sister Mary Agnes always shared with our 2nd grade class. Hope is a good thing. I didn't cry. I didn't call for mom. I bravely squirmed. Hoping to escape, I twisted left, then right, and then did an elephant hop. A miracle occurred. I caught Duffy off balance, and he went flying. Surrendering to gravity's calling, my ballistic brother fell down on all of his precious stuff. He forced the hinges to collapse, bringing the desk down with all his treasures falling on top of him. Duffy started crying. I learned an important lesson that day. Hope is not a good thing. It's a great thing. As I stood in empowered amazement at what I had done, I heard the sweetest sound ever, even sweeter than the tune of the elephant hop. Duffy yelled, "Mommy!" I was about to tell him it was my line, until I recalled that because of hope, I was no longer a victim, but a victor. Instead, I graciously said, "You can use that line anytime, because it's no longer mine." Mr. Toastmaster.
Well done. I really enjoyed listening to that speech. And now I'd like to welcome our 2nd speaker to Toastmaster Time, Michael Kummer. Michael, welcome to Toastmaster Time.
Nice to be here.
Is this your first time on the show?
My very first time.
You having fun yet?
Yes.
Now, what club are you representing?
I represent Toast on the Hill, belongs to Lawrence Berkeley National Lab.
Okay. And how long have you been a member of Toastmasters?
A little bit over 1 year.
Oh, just a little over a year, and you're already competing at such a high level.
Yeah, and I still need to complete CC number 10.
There are a lot of folks who still need to complete CC number 10. So what's been the most meaningful lesson for you in this contest experience?
The most meaningful is that all I have learned in my club, in life, with my partner, I can actually apply in this learning process. You get a lot of feedback, not only in your local Toastmaster club, you basically get it all the time during your life. And if you're aware of it, if you're like a sponge and soak it up, you can apply it.
Wow, that's great wisdom and insight. Well, I look forward to benefiting from your wisdom in your speech. You ready to give it?
Yes.
I'll give you a moment to get set up and tell our audience a little bit more about Toastmasters. Toastmasters is an international organization. We have about 345,000 members in approximately 16,000 clubs in 142 countries around the world. And we help people overcome their fear of public speaking, develop better communication and leadership skills. And if you want to find a club near you, just go to toastmasters.org, type in your zip code, and hit search. Right now, I'd like to introduce our second speaker, Michael Kummer. To be a little bolder, Michael Kummer.
Imagine a magic spell enabling you to turn into any object of your choice. When I was young and little, I was so painfully shy. My favorite object to disappear into was a little boulder. Yes, Michael wanted to be nothing more than a little rock, which often led to confusing moments when adults with good intentions came up to me, Michael, don't be shy, just show up and be a little bolder. My fellow bold speakers, boldness makes your fear disappear. Wise words, yet I kept missing the point until that one day in my early 20s, I met a girl, beautiful, blonde, kind. We had an inspiring conversation, yet when we parted, not enough boldness to ask her out. I beat myself up about it for 2 days, wanted to be a little simple rock again, when I had a first profound realization. Michael, just find the blonde girl. Today, one could translate this to bold people pair action with knowledge. Yet the only knowledge I had was that she was working a weekend job at a local trade fair, which turned out to be one of Europe's largest trade fairs for food and nutrition. The weekend came. Excited, motivated, determined, I arrived at the ticket office, where I had another, more or less profound realization. Food fairs are not cheap. They made me pay the equivalent of 10 movie tickets in order to get into some ridiculous 3-day food fair with 2.8 million square feet exhibition area and 160,000 attendants. To find one blonde girl. Nevertheless, I started my search, scanned thousands of faces, hundreds of food company stands, when I came to a sudden halt somewhere in the baby food section. Someone had tapped my shoulder. I froze, turned around, and looked straight into the eyes of a security officer in his 60s. He inquired, "Young man, what could be the nature of your relationship to baby food?" As embarrassed as I was, I wanted to disappear yet again into simple nothingness. When a thought entered my mind, wait a minute, is boldness just simple honesty? Do you know that feeling? You find yourself in a very uncomfortable situation. By daring to tell the even more uncomfortable truth, you suddenly feel great relief, because staying true to yourself takes away the grounds for shame. So I faced him. I'm looking for a girl, beautiful, blonde, kind. Have you seen her? He started laughing and walked away. Young man, good luck to you. I've been looking for her for the past 40 years. In the evening, I gave up. At the main exit, a sign asked me, "Had enough of healthy food? Burgers and beer are awaiting you in our cafeteria." Fine, convinced, I went in, sat down at the bar, studied the menu. When a voice asked me, "What would you like?" I looked up and froze. The blonde girl said, "You look familiar." I wanted to disappear yet again, because most of my boldness had already been used up somewhere in that baby food hall. So I gathered my last reserves and asked her out on a date. I have a question for all women in the audience. Ladies, a man approaches you, good looking, bold. Turns out he paid the equivalent of 10 movie tickets in order to get into some 3-day food fair with 2.8 million square feet of exhibition area and 160,000 attendants. In order to find more people behind closed walls, he sampled gross baby food. He dodged security. All this to find you, special girl. Would you give him at least one date? I found the girl. She said no. Finding her was indeed a little miracle. Yet the larger miracle on that lonely night happened when all those well-intended voices of my past merged into one speaking to me. Today, your boldness made you show up and made your personality truly shine. Treat every accomplishment in life like a big win, even if it seems like a failure, and it will eventually turn you a little bolder. I did, and it did, both professionally and foremost personally. My beautiful, kind, strawberry blonde girlfriend said, when I asked her, would you like to marry me? Yes. All of you, we can be a little bolder. Whether you ask your favorite person out on a date, you do a table topics contribution, or you do a random act of kindness to a perfect stranger. It doesn't matter. What counts is that it will make you show up and shine a light onto your inner beauty. It is in your mission during this lifetime and in this universe to show your inner beauty to all of us.
Wonderful job. I really enjoyed that speech, Michael. And now I have the honor of introducing our third contestant on tonight's contest show. Please help me welcome Ninad Pimparkar. Welcome, Ninad. How are you?
Good.
Is this your first time on Toastmaster Time?
Second time.
Second time. So
Yes.
you're a veteran now.
Yes.
What club are you representing?
I am from Star Search in Fremont.
Star Search in Fremont. And how long have you been a Toastmaster?
About 3 years.
3 years.
Yes.
In your 3 years experience, what's been the biggest lesson you've learned so far?
The biggest lesson I've learned is by preparing all these speeches and especially going to the contests, I've been blessed with digging up my life, and I have learned about my life more in last 3 years than I have learned in 30 years.
Wow.
So it has been a biggest blessing for me.
What an amazing gift to not only learn that about yourself, but also share your lessons with others.
Yes.
Are you ready to share your speech with us?
Absolutely.
Wonderful. I'll give you a minute and I'll talk to our audience.
Okay.
One of the most important things about a contest speech is, as Ninad said, you get a chance to dig deep down inside and find those things that motivate you, that scare you, that excite you, your hopes, your dreams, your fears. Bring all of those out, put them into an important, inspiring message, and then share that with the audience. And in doing so, you may touch something in people that gives them hope or encouragement. Ninad Pimparkar, laugh at yourself. Laugh at yourself, Ninad Pimparkar.
My name is Ninad Pimparkar. Now, I don't know what you would say about that, but I have this strong feeling that my kids will be bullied at school because of our family name, Pimparkar. Just look at the first 4 letters, P-I-M-P. When I was in college, they used to call me Pimp Daddy. But instead of taking offense at their friendly banter, I would just tell them, if you have a problem, don't worry, buddy. If you have a problem, don't worry, buddy. To fix it all up, here comes Pimp Daddy. I thought Pimp Daddy was so cool that my first email address was pimpdaddy@yahoo.com until my daddy found out. The ability to laugh at yourself is a sign of optimistic personality. It improves your resilience and mental toughness. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, when my wife teases me about my most precious possession, you know what I say? I tell her I may not have a six-pack, but I have a Costco-sized family pack. It protects my rock-hard abs. When she teases me about my huge nose, I just say, it's functionally superior. A weakness transforms into your strength if you find it in your heart to make fun of it yourself. Once you learn to laugh at your own weakness, the whole world cannot scare you with anything. I wish I knew this when I was in grade school, when all those kids were picking on me for my double vision. I wish I could just say that my eyes can see in two different directions at the same time, so my eyes are functionally superior. But it's not easy to laugh at yourself at that age, and I reacted. I reacted in anger and I reacted in hatred. Little did I know that all that anger and hatred was my karma. I sent it out in the world, it did its rounds, and vrook, 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 like a karmic boomerang, it came back and hit me later in my life. Intense fear of speaking in public, an inferiority complex, and 2 years of deep depression were the direct results of my anger and my hatred. I wish I knew that I was behaving like this bottle of Coke. Could I stop people from bullying me? No. Could I stop them from calling me names? No. And you know what I did? I foamed up. I reacted. Now I want you to take a moment to think about your life and people in your life. Could you stop people from conspiring against you, talking you down, politicking? No. And yet we foam up, we react. Now I want you to compare that with this water bottle. Life may be doing this to you, but you have a chance and choice to be cool, calm, and composed, just like this water bottle. My mother is heavily diabetic, but when I tell her to eat right and exercise, you know what she says? We have a lot of mosquitoes back home in India. So she says, I attract all those mosquitoes with my sweet blood, so you all are protected. Sadly, just last month, she lost most of her hearing because of diabetes. It happened so suddenly. But instead of complaining, you know what she says? Now your father can snore all night long. Right at the heels of losing her hearing, we lost her father, my grandpa. But you know what she says? I know I'm like an old tree now, and just like an old tree, I'm going to lose all my branches, one branch at a time, until the whole tree doesn't exist anymore. My mother taught me this. If you want to be resilient, learn to laugh at yourself. If you want to be mentally tough, laugh at yourself. If you want to convert your weakness into your strength, laugh at yourself. If you want to be joyful, laugh at yourself. I suffered the consequences of all my anger and hatred because I took myself way too seriously. And PIMP or not, other kids will find some excuse to bully my kids and laugh at them. But you know how Pimp Daddy is going to fix it all up? I am going to tell them. Peter Parker was Spider-Man. Peter Parker is still Spider-Man. But by learning to laugh at yourself, you, my kids, Pimparkar, can be Laughter Man. Laugh at yourself. Mr. Toastmaster.
Another wonderful speech. Thank you, Ninad. Well, I'd like to welcome back to the show our Chief Judge, Ashley Harkness. Ashley, great to see you again.
Thank you, Jeff.
We heard 3 wonderful speeches tonight.
Absolutely. You noticed that they all related to the human experience. They all told us about a journey, whether it was a child who was dealing with his bully brother,
Right.
or a person who wanted to meet the blonde girl, or somebody who had to learn that their name really was a blessing. So it was
Absolutely.
absolutely. And you noticed also their gestures. Their gestures were all very different, some more active than others, but each one of them appeared to me to be purposeful.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things that I've often coached speakers about is if you're going to say something, mean to say it, look like you're saying it, gesture intentionally, move your body with intention. And especially when you're doing contest speeches, there's no such thing as a throwaway word or a throwaway gesture. Everything counts.
You notice that the intensities were very different between the 3 speakers. In Brendan's, he was under a lot of pain, and he had voices and things like that. But Michael, he was under self-doubt. He was trying to find something. And Ninad, he already knew, but he was dealing with all of the angst coming from other people.
Right.
So I think it covered a lot of spaces, a lot of areas, and they were done very, very well.
And I love the fact that they were willing to be courageous and share their personal stories. And I think that's very endearing to an audience.
Very much. I think there were lessons to be learned today.
Absolutely. Well, another thing to learn is who won what. Well, Ninad, our last speaker, came in first place in his division. Brendan, our first speaker, came in 3rd in our district contest. And our first place winner in District 57, representing us at the International Conference in Vancouver, is Michael Kummer.
Fantastic. He'll have a great time.
He will. So congratulations to Michael, and thank you to all of our speakers. And that's all the time we have for Toastmaster Time. We tape our show at the Media Center in Palo Alto, California. And if you'd like to know more about Toastmaster Time, you can visit us on the web at toastmastertime.com. We're sponsored by Toastmasters District 57, and to learn more about them, visit d57tm.org. And to learn more about Toastmasters International, just go to toastmasters.org on the website. We appreciate all of the wonderful staff here at the Media Center, all the volunteers that make this show possible. I'd like to thank our Chief Judge, Ashley Harkness, our 3 speakers, Brendan Murphy, Ninad Pimparkar, and Michael Kummer. On behalf of everyone here at Toastmaster Time, we say keep talking.